What's going on, H-Town, Houston Rockets fans, NBA fans, no matter where you are all over the world? My name is David Marotta, and welcome to Rockets Daily, brought to you by FanArch. Our goal here is simple as we're growing: bring you the best Houston Rockets coverage that we possibly can. Also, we're going to look at all the comments. We want this to be a channel for the people, for the Houston Rockets fans, for everyone out there who just has an interest in things going on in the NBA. So go ahead, leave us a comment. I definitely will check out each and every one, and we're going to be diving into all the trade rumors, the different draft scenarios, breaking down different options at the 10th pick. Probably we'll even get to some options at the 59th pick if that pick even stays with the Rockets as we move along. NBA Finals going on. Oklahoma City Thunder and Indiana Pacers. Pacers up 2-1. With the Pacers up 2-1, the door, a lot of teams, all disrespect to the Pacers, series is far from over, but seeing Indiana in a position to possibly win a championship, or Oklahoma City built for the long term, built for the long haul. A lot of teams got to be feeling like that window is possibly there. A lot more teams feel like they have a chance as time goes by in the NBA, and that includes the Houston Rockets. Won 52 games last year, but there is still a lot of work to be done. Second seed in the Western Conference. Future looks bright. Young roster, but hey, got to make those moves. Got to figure out the best move to retweak, because you cannot just think that you have 2 to 7 year window. You got to go for it next year. So we're going to talk about that. And as we talk about next year, a team that definitely wants to take the next step outside of your Houston Rockets are the New York Knicks. Tom Thibodeau took them to the Eastern Conference Finals for the first time in 25 years. Took down the Boston Celtics, fell short to the Indiana Pacers, and apparently that was not good enough. And, farthest they've gone in 25 years, but not good enough. They let go of Tom Thibodeau. So New York Knicks out there looking for a new head coach. And one of the stories that we talked about a couple days ago, Ime Udoka coming up. Mark Stein reported a lot of different people were talking about the New York Knicks having some interest in him. Now, the NBA, though, is not college basketball, so that means that you cannot just talk to any coach that you want. You can't just offer him more money and say, come here, and you can't just choose New York over Houston. You need to get permission to interview a coach who's under contract with the team, as Udoka is under contract with the Rockets. And according to SNY reporter Ian Begley, story came out today, that as expected, the New York Knicks did reach out to the Houston Rockets, and as we expect, the Houston Rockets said no, you cannot interview Udoka. So Ime Udoka not going to be going over to the New York Knicks, but that's a story that was out there, so definitely had to address it. Stephen A. Smith mentioned some sources of his had told him that there's really no price that the New York Knicks can come up with that would be enough for the Houston Rockets to just let him go to New York. And speaking of Stephen A. Smith, he had some things to say about Jalen Green on First Take on Tuesday. And he said a lot. I'm not going to do it in my Stephen A. voice. I want to, for the most part, try to get the quote or his thoughts as close to accurate as possible. Jalen Green, I don't want to say casual fans, so some of the Rockets fans, let me know as well if you think that Jalen Green if you still think Jalen Green's a franchise player, only 23 years old, don't want to look, first time in the playoffs, a lot of potential. But I think that, we kind of saw from Jalen Green in this postseason against the Golden State Warriors is kind of who Jalen Green is at this point of his career. Not that he, can't get much better, but definitely not the most efficient player. Some nights he does look like a future superstar, and other nights just very, very inconsistent. Now, whether or not he's going to stay that way, let's just be fair. We're just talking about where he is now. Doesn't mean that he can't take the next step. Basically, like I said, not in a Stephen A. voice. Talking about Jalen Green, Stephen A. Smith has this to say. He said, listen, the brother's young and ultra talented, but he seems a bit distracted. You haven't seen a focus in his game where he's gotten substantially better. They need him. They needed him in the playoffs. There were 4 games. The brother scored single digits. With that talent, single digits against Golden State? Really? That's panicking. That's deer in headlights kind of stuff. And there's been a lot of different trade rumors out there. Talked about the trade rumor from Fadeaway World the other day that had the Rockets parting with both draft picks this year, along with Şengün and Jalen Green for Giannis. Obviously, that's just a rumor. That doesn't mean that, or a proposed trade. That doesn't mean that proposed trade rumor doesn't mean that that's really on the table. Does not mean that the Bucks would accept that. But Stephen A. Smith definitely brought up Kevin Durant. The thing is with Jalen Green right now, stock seems to be a little bit low. When he looks around the league, 98th according to the Ringer. I know those aren't NBA executives, but only the 6th highest rated player on that list on the Houston Rockets team. So you have to wonder, is he really going to be enough to, how much more would it take in a trade to get Durant or Giannis or someone else if you part with Jalen Green? And is this in a sell low spot for Jalen Green? If you hold on him to another year, can he take that leap? Now, obviously, long term, this is a guy that's going to cost quite a bit more money. So you have to kind of make that decision. And one guy that Stephen A. Smith definitely, as he mentioned, Kevin Durant, Rockets needing Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant definitely had time the other day, and we've got a little time here. I saw a post on social media about it was interesting, talking about Kevin Durant's career after Golden State has been underwhelming, a little bit of a disappointment, and I'm paraphrasing a little bit. And as Kevin Durant often does, he did respond in the comments, and he went back and forth with a lot of people on social media disagreeing. For the most part, not going to read those comments exactly, but Kevin Durant was basically saying it's a team game, mentioning his career accolades, where he's going to end up on the scoring list, all the different accolades that he has. And a lot of people are going back and forth. He left Golden State because you wanted to do it on your own. You weren't getting the credit. And I want to take a side on these two things, but a couple things can be true at the same time. It definitely is a team game. I do think if you look at the team aspect of Durant's accomplishments, he could have kept winning titles in Golden State, but not getting past the second round since then. Yeah, it's been a disappointment. His career has been a disappointment from a team. I should say his team success has been a disappointment since he's left Golden State. It's hard to say that individually. When he went to the Brooklyn Nets, they had so many different things going on. I mean, Kyrie Irving kind of let him down a little bit. James Harden did what James Harden does in the postseason. And then after that, that next season, it looked like Brooklyn had a chance to run it back, and they all parted ways. Now with the Phoenix Suns not working, and it's hard to blame Kevin Durant for completely what's going on with Phoenix. Honestly, I think that the Bradley Beal trade, when they made it, I thought that was going to cripple the franchise. I thought that Bradley Beal was a horrible fit there for what they gave up for him, and he does not fit. According to what I saw, the only two players in the NBA with a no trade clause, Bradley Beal and LeBron James, which is ridiculous. So I think that's just a bad team chemistry over there. They gave up way too much for Bradley Beal. Him, Booker, and Durant, they just don't fit, and it's just not a good fit over there. How much do you blame Durant for that? I think that roster is just not constructed right, and you have to I think Durant at this point, he has to get into the right situation, because really the NBA right now is too talented for any one player to do it on its own. And with that being said, with Kevin Durant, if it is a team game, as he's saying, is Houston the place for him? Is Houston the place where he can take his individual talents with this team, come in and take it to the next level and win a championship together? Which, Durant, obviously, great life, great career, but winning a championship in Houston would be great for the Rockets, and I think that definitely would be another feather in his cap for legacy-wise to win one outside of Golden State. This roster is talented in Houston, but he definitely, if he came to the Rockets and won a championship, I think it would be a little bit undeniable to give him his flowers. But with that being said, the other day I talked about a trade proposal that could land Giannis and Kevin Durant in separate trades. But what I want to ask you guys in the comments is, how do you feel about Kevin Durant coming onto this roster without Giannis? Obviously, he would help fill a big void in shooting. Aaron Holiday, Dillon Brooks were the top 2 3-point shooters on this team last season. According to a Fadeaway World, they were proposing the Houston Rockets getting Kevin Durant for Jabari Smith, Cam Whitmore, Reed Shepard, and 2 picks in 2031. I definitely would pull the trigger on that, but I don't think that that's going to be enough. Do you think that that's going to be enough? I don't. So, let me know what you think about that as far as Durant to the Rockets, and if what do you think it would take? Last thing we're going to talk about, and this may seem, no disrespect, like a little bit of a letdown on stories as we go from Kevin Durant to talking about Brook Lopez, but Brook Lopez expected to be an unrestricted free agent. A few different teams out there right now with the Milwaukee Bucks. A few different teams. Los Angeles Lakers, Houston Rockets at the top of the list. Also see Memphis Grizzlies, Atlanta Hawks as possible destinations for Brook Lopez. And let me know in the comments if you want to see Brook Lopez in Houston. Now, Brook Lopez, 37 years old. There's some pros and cons with Lopez. So right now you got Steven Adams on the roster. Would you want Lopez over Adams, or would you just want Lopez if Adams just doesn't re-sign? Adams had a definitely higher player efficiency rating than Lopez did last year at 16.6 compared to 14.8 for Lopez. But the Rockets only played Steven Adams during the regular season a little bit more than 13 minutes a game, even though he was efficient when he played. Had a great series against the Golden State Warriors. I mean, are you going to use him? Now, Brook Lopez brings to the table that Steven Adams doesn't, is three-point shooting. High-volume three-point shooter, 4.7 attempts per game, 37.3% from three-point range. That would just bring him right after, make him one of the top three-point shooters on this team. So he definitely is somebody who could stretch the floor. As far as when it comes to the physicality at this point of his career, though, is he going to play better with Şengün than Steven Adams did? As Brook Lopez, he played a little over 31 minutes a game for the Bucks last year in a limited role. I don't think he plays that many minutes with the Rockets. Is he going to be a good piece on this team? Would you rather have Lopez? Would you rather have Adams? That is definitely something to discuss, but we definitely need to stretch the floor one way or another. We've talked about this, I think, every day so far. Definitely the need for shooting. But that's this episode of Rockets Daily. Make sure to comment. Let me know what you guys want to talk about. Make sure to subscribe. That way you're notified when the next video drops. As always, thank you so much for watching.